In my last guide video, I showed you just how easy it is to install mods for Sons of the Forest. And if you haven't watched it, then you need to go watch it now, because in this video, I'm going to show you the mods I think are the top ones to use in Sons of the Forest right now that don't go too far with it, that don't turn into being more of a cheat than just a mod. Now, let me just go ahead and point out that I have every single one of these mods enabled right now. I'm having no compatibility issues, so whether you choose to use certain ones or all of these, you should be fine. Now, the first mod is log carry amount, which just does exactly what it sounds like. It lets you carry more logs. Now, while this might not be as big of a deal as it was before we got the log sleds, it's still a case of you can carry 4 logs just by turning on the mod. And while it doesn't look like you've got 4 logs, you do. It shows you the number. Now, when you start tossing out the logs, it's going to act a little different, because it's going to toss out the 2, and then it's going to pop another one up, then the 4th one up. So they're there. It's just it does act a little goofy compared to the normal usage. Now, of course, you can go in and adjust the config file for this to carry more than 4 logs, but I think staying in the 3 or 4 logs limit keeps it still in the realism area, but also still makes it a lot more useful. Now, since we are increasing the amount of stuff we can carry, let's talk about the next one, infinite inventory, which sounds exactly like it is. It lets you have as much as you want of the different inventory items. So where you can have more wire, or you can have more MRE packs, doesn't matter. With this mod, you can have infinite everything, or you can get a slightly different version of the mod, which lets you manually go and increase certain things in a config file. To me, I think most people are going to just say, you know what? I don't want to mess with the config. Just give me infinite everything. And that's exactly what the infinite inventory mod is going to do for you. And speaking of infinite things, what about the next mod? Infinite zipline. It does exactly like it sounds. It gives you the ability to drag the zip line as far as you want. But it goes a little bit beyond that, because it also gives you the option to adjust in the config file how far out the shooting distance is for the zip line. So you can choose that you want to be able to shoot and attach from further away with the rope gun. Honestly, I think once you get to a certain distance, that little dot just becomes too hard to see. But hey, if you want to increase the distance, you can do that. But the great thing is you can just keep going and have a super long zip line the normal way without that, pesky limit on distance. But of course, if you don't want to use a mod for the infinite zip line length, I do have another guide video on how you can do it just by editing a config file and get infinite length zip lines wherever. Now, the next 2 mods have to do with building. The first mod is build speed, and what it does is while you still have the animation showing, it greatly speeds them up so it doesn't take so long. So if you are one of those people that likes the new animations, but you hate how much it slows you down, this is definitely one for you, because it just makes it so much quicker. Even though you're only sacrificing a tiny bit of time from what it takes to show it splitting a log into planks or placing it down to chop it at a certain height, this still just makes a big enough of a difference that it keeps it from feeling like it's dragging. And let's face it, the game kind of feels like it drags a little bit in terms of how long it takes you to build stuff. Now, the last mod is the build underwater mod, which does exactly what it sounds like. It lets you build underwater, but there's a trick to it. You don't just go out in the water like you normally would. You actually have to hit a toggle key, and in this case, it is going to be the quotation key unless you change it. And all it does is, as you see there, the logs fell in. It basically lets the water still be visible, but it takes out the effect of the water being present. So now you can, honestly use the mod just to go walking around, get you some fish, or again, come out and build underwater. Now, while this may seem like the prime opportunity to go build way far out, I would recommend against doing that and just build kind of, close to land still, at least close enough so you have an easy walk and don't have to do a very long walk. And just because you can build underwater doesn't mean it's going to make things any easier. You are still going to have to go and build a full structure underneath. So you can't have anything that's just floating out in the water. So yeah, this is kind of nice in that you can build underwater and maybe even go have some fun with your orca friends. I wouldn't suggest playing with the sharks this way, but you're still going to have the problem of transporting all the logs way out into the water. So again, if you're going to do this, I would suggest not going too far out into the water. Honestly, just use this as a way to build a little bit further out and make sure your base is fully protected from cannibals and the mutants. And so those are the mods that, to me, right now, add a lot of value to the game without adding any kind of cheaty style effect to the game, and that you can build underwater, you can carry more inventory, you can carry more logs, but it's not so extreme that it feels like you're breaking the game. And obviously, some people are not going to approve of some of these mods or all of these mods because they want to play the game in the purest vanilla form. And that's fine. If you just want to play vanilla, go ahead. But if you do want to try some mods, I suggest starting with these.